Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening for those in Europe. We're glad to have you join us today on the Tech in Action series. Today we're going to talk about accelerating application development with visual modeling. I will be, I guess, your host, you would call it, and Hugo is going to be doing all of the work for us today to actually getting into um, our digital enterprise suite and showing you. The whole intention of this series is really to take pieces and capabilities of our platform and dive a little bit deeper, but to do it in we'll call it a fun format that's short and to the point. For those of you that have colleagues that may have missed today's session, we will be recording this. We will be offering that to you in email as well as putting that on our website. So with that, I'm going to just do a quick housekeeping thing. We would prefer written questions for time's sake, because like I said, for those of you that are on the East Coast and are coming in on your lunch hour, we do want to give you at least 30 minutes to get something to eat before you go back to work. So if you'll use the questions tool, which is down in the bottom there, to ask your questions, I'll be sure to relay those to Hugo as we go through it. And like I said, we are recording today's session. So if you think about the modern enterprise, there are a number of challenges around application development. The first, and we certainly hear this from both our prospects and our customers, is just simply the time to production. That has to do with a lot of different things, a backlog within most application development organizations. It has to do many times with the transfer from the business to IT of requirements. And it has to deal with legacy type technology that's being used for development. One of the other things we hear a lot of is the subject matter experts are too far away from development, meaning they reside in the business. We do a lot in the mortgage industry, and many times those subject matter experts are in the mortgage origination area, or they're in underwriting or risk decisioning, and they're 2 or 3 steps removed from where the development's actually being done. And then, as I mentioned earlier, very rigid legacy systems. Those could be what we would call traditional business process workflow rules. Systems could be legacy code that resides in a variety of places within the organization. Another thing we hear very consistently from our prospects in the IT area, specifically architects and CIOs, is the idea of having a framework that you can work in, but giving what we would like to call the citizen developer or the subject matter expert the freedom to develop. So many times trying to get to that balance is very difficult for organizations. And then standards, whether you're in mortgage and underwriting and you're working with the MISMO standard, or if you're in healthcare and dealing with a wide variety of standards or even compliance standards, that is a challenge for many application development organizations, complying with those standards and then obviously integrating those data standards into whatever application they might be developing. Certainly the last one is integrations. That is being able to fit in between sometimes some systems that you would not replace, but being able to integrate with those systems in your application. So we're going to talk a little bit about these challenges, and Hugo's going to share with us today how Tech can help get from the idea to the execution very quickly. So Hugo, I'm going to hand that over to you.
So hi everyone. So as Dan mentioned today, we are going to look at how to develop application, or to look at application development using visual modeling. For the sake of the presentation, I'm going to use the vacation request example, which is an e-rent example, which everyone has access to. If you do a free trial with us, you will have access to this example to look at it. This is a very good example of what can rapidly be developed into an application that can be connected to a UI of your choice afterward. So this is a visual model. It's a BPMN model, which is connected to different services here. And here, so we have service task, we have sending email task, and we have a decision task here. If we have a quick look at this model, what do we have here? So this is a simple vacation request from an employee. So if someone asks for their vacations, we can automatically approve or refuse it, or if necessary, we can have a manual validation from a manager. To be able to fulfill this process, we have our first task here is to fetch the vacation information in the HR system. So this is a no data file. It's something we've connected directly using our operation library. I'm going to show you guys how that works in a few minutes, but just giving you a hint that we can connect to external services here based on what we get as an output. So our input is going to be the employee badge number, and we're going to get his current vacation status as an output. And based on the output, we can either go to vacation approval, or if we don't find the employee in the database, we get an error and the process ends at employee not found here. Now, vacation approval is a decision service that is connected here. And based on the output of this vacation approval, we're going to either automatically approve the vacation request, and this is connected to an email system here that's going to send a notification to the employee. So once again, we have an email system that is connected here, and we have an operation that is to send the email that will send an email to the employee. We have the, again, HR system to update the remaining vacation day of the employee, and this completes the vacation approved side of things. If the vacation is automatically refused, we're going to go this way and notify the employee of the refusal. And if we need a manual validation, we're going to have a human intervention here, where someone is going to be asked to approve or refuse the vacation. And based on this human task here, or user task in BPMN, we have the approved or refused path that are going to be chosen here. And once again, the employee is going to be notified. And if it's approved, the update remaining vacation is going to be updated directly in the system. So how does that work? How does our process behave? We can look at the behavior through the animator here. So when you're developing a model like this, it's really nice to be able to go through the animator and decide, hey, what happens if I have an error? This is where we're going to go. If I get the information for my current vacation, I'm going to go to my decision vacation approval. The decision vacation approval is a decision service that is connected here. If I click on it, I have my decision service that opens. I can also animate it, but I can also animate this decision here. So we have the from date of the vacation, we have the to date, and we have the number of days remaining in our decision model. So here the number of days is depending on the date I take my vacation. So if I start from April 6th to April 8th, and I run this, that's 2 days of vacation. And we can decide if it's going to be approved or not based on the remaining days. So if we say we have 20 remaining days, we get approved, and this is approved automatically. So this is a decision model. It's also visual modeling that we do here, and we define decision tables that can give us the approval and a reason for approval or refusal based on our different criteria here. So this is the decision part of the modeling, which can be connected to our workflow, so to our process modeling here. And based on the interaction that we have, we can choose approve, manual validation, or refused. So if we say that in this case, we got the approve from the decision, that's the path we're gonna take for this process. So this this is really how our process is going to behave. It's very interesting to use it through the animator, because if we have different kind of gateways, we're going to know how our tokens are going to behave. So if we have a parallel split gateway here, we're going to take all paths at the same time, but we're going to need to catch those tokens or have terminate end events at some point. So this is the kind of things that the animator can help you do. Now, this model, once we've created it, is easily automatable. So if I go under the execution tab and click on Cloud Publish, I can choose an environment to publish it. I'm going to need an identity here because I'm going to fetch information in my database, and I'm going to publish my service. So it's basically a one-click publish. And now I can go and view my publish process. So this process here, I have the description of the service, I have the thumbnail of the service, and of course we have all those artifacts that are available. So first we have a tried form, which is automatically generated based on your model. So when we talk about rapid application development, when we talk about time to production, it's very quick to model this, execute it, no added code, and we already have a form where we can test our service. So if we say I want to take vacation from April 6th to, I'll say, April 13, I run this, I'm going to need a manual approval here, so human intervention. And I'm going to say, okay, so my employee, Aaron Smith, has requested vacation from 6th of April to 13th of April, and he has 12 remaining days. So I can choose to accept or refuse. If I choose to refuse, we end the process to the state vacation refused by manager. Now, so that's the tried form. We also have the fully documented REST API with all the information to test your process directly, execute your vacation request directly from the APIs here, and all the instance information and instance and process instance data information in there. We have the Open API file, which is basically the downloadable Open API. We have the option to promote it between environments. So if we have a development environment, a test environment, and a prod environment, we can move it from one to the other based on the user permission. And we have all the endpoints here. Now, when I say this is very easy to generate or to create in developing models like this, if I open a new page and show how I could connect a decision model, for example, I'll bring a start event for a process, and I'm going to go and connect my vacation approval decision here, just to show you how easy it is to connect it. So this is going to be a business rule. I'm going to go under BPMN and link to an existing decision. So here I can get my decision service, and very easily I've connected a decision to my workflow. And in one click, I can generate the inputs and the outputs based on what I have in my decision model. So all of that is automatically generated in one click here. So this is very easy to work. This is very easy to develop, and it's true for decision service, but it's also true for API. So if I use and if I go and import an Open API file here, just to show an example, I can take an exchange rate API, go ahead, import it here, and if I decide I want to have a service task that gives me the exchange rate here. I'm just going to define that as a service, and again, connect it to the right interface and the right operation, and it's going to be, I need to give it a name, and it's going to be a one-click mapping to the input and output from the API. So very quickly, you can, as Dan mentioned, integrate between different workflow, between different systems. You can have your subject matter expert that will develop the logic of your decision, but also the logic of the process. And you can connect to different systems to have really an end-to-end process there that just need to be connected to a UI through the REST API or the Open API of your service. Maybe one thing to mention is I've shown you how to use decision service, how to use APIs, open APIs. One thing to mention is that we also have some connectors that we can use. So if we want to send emails, we have, I have my GoToWebinar page here. We have already built-in connectors to some applications. And one of the things that I can do is just connect my my API here, drag and drop, and I have an email task, so I can send email. So this is already connected through the API information. I have my operation there, and I can just go and do some data mapping in there for my emails to be sent to the right person and with the right information. So this is really what I had to present on the rapid or on the application development today. I don't know if there are.
Yeah, Hugo, there is a question David asked, what are workflow patterns?
So I suppose you're talking about this here. Workflow patterns are just already generated patterns that you can use. I'm going to start that on the new page just because it's easier to see on a new page. So if there are some of the patterns that you want to use by default on your model, these are the kind of patterns that you can drag and drop here. And this is, just to be clear, this is a parallel split gateway. So if I give it a name A, B, C, this means that when I get to this split here, we're going to have the token and both tasks are going to be performed at the same time. Is there any more questions so far?
Yes, I think David had another question on where do we design the human forms?
The forms are automatically generated from the service library. So when I define my process like this and I execute it, we generate it automatically. So that's a triad form. Now, if you're talking about the human task, so this is the automatically generated form. And if we're talking about the human task, basically we're going to assign a performer to the task. So in this case, I've assigned myself, and the performer is going to receive an email with a complete task option, which is going to bring him to the form here. So if I just redo this quickly, when you receive the email, you click on complete task and it's going to bring you right here. Now, if you want to generate your own forms, that's possible. We have all the API information in there to connect them to forms that you generate yourself.
So Hugo, thanks for your time and efforts today. Thank you all for attending, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Perfect. Thank you, and have a lovely day to everyone.